Good evening. Welcome on into a live edition of Wake Up Warchant for about 20% of our constituents. The other 80% who usually digest this in the mornings. It's taped per usual. I'm Aslan. Corey's here as well. We got plenty to talk about. Well, actually, not plenty, but we got a couple things to talk about. But as always, we're brought to you by the good folks over at Zaxby's. Indescribably good. Well, we got some echoing going on here, Corey. Do you have headphones on you today, friend? Or no headphones?
I do. I'm going to go get them. Hold on. There was a lot of stuff.
I'll set everything up. I'll set the table. This is usually how it works out when we do the podcast. But the good thing is that, we're not having to be on camera and doing all this stuff. So I'm not going to try to talk too much because you can probably hear me echoing out of Corey's laptop because that's what he's using to listen to me. I promise the show won't be nearly as bad as it's starting out to be. But do maybe subscribe to our YouTube channel. I won't say for you to hit the like button right now. There's really not a whole lot to like. But if you can subscribe to the channel, it would be much appreciated. We'll be taking your phone calls here in a little bit. We'll kind of set the table for what our agenda is for tonight and then dive into your phone calls. We'll have the number scrolling at the bottom of the screen. Obviously, the news of the day for Florida State fans is the news that Khalan Laborn has been dismissed from the FSU football program after a violation of team rules, an unspecified violation of team rules. So I don't have any clarity on what it is that happened, but really sort of dubious timing. Doesn't seem like it's again, he was dismissed. It wasn't one of these things where he declared he wanted to leave and get into the portal or anything like that because this would be kind of an awkward time to do it. I had him number 4 on my preseason top 40. So this is pretty much like you pick your Final Four bracket, Corey, and you already got one of your teams out by sundown on Thursday evening in the round of 64. So
no, this is like your team didn't even make the tournament.
Yeah, I guess so.
The Final Four team that they got snubbed.
Yeah, I guess
didn't get in.
You, being the Coracle, had him ranked the lowest out of all of us on the panel. You had him ranked at number 23. So I think we'll probably, at some point converge on our consensus on what this means. But for you, what was your reaction when you found out that Florida State went ahead and dismissed a former 5-star running back?
Well, I mean, I think we were all surprised by it because of, again, the timing of it. It's late July now, and theoretically, by the way, let me apologize for the background. I had a nice background here in my home in Tallahassee, which I'm not here often. I haven't been here often the last 5 months. Ready to roll, got bookshelves behind me, got a picture of my dad behind me, but the lighting was terrible. So I had to come find the brightest room in the house, which happens to be a guest room where there's nothing in here but a bed frame and some symbols. So nothing on the walls. So I apologize. This is not a hostage ransom video. I am here on my own free will. Nobody's, I'm not going to hold up a newspaper today and prove to you that I'm alive. This is actually being recorded right now. So anyway, so back to Khalan. Yeah, it's just the timing of it. I don't necessarily know. I mean, it's not a small, insignificant loss. I think this is a guy you counted on. I mean, I wasn't counting on him or Corbin really to have like monster seasons. But I thought together they could put together a Cam type season production wise, just with both of them together combined. But now I think Corbin obviously goes in now as the unquestioned the unquestioned favorite to be the starting running back. But as I wrote on Warchant.com, Aslan, recently, I got that story out in the nick of time, huh?
Yeah, attaboy.
I got to write about Khalan one last time. They have 4 running backs coming in. And they also have Deontay Sheffield, who I kind of mentioned in passing in the article, but obviously now he's one of the proven commodities to an extent on this team, as much as you could say that about somebody with 20 career carries, but he almost had 100 yards in the bowl game. So now I think he maybe comes into play a little bit. But yeah, I think we all know that these freshmen now, I thought at least one of them would be counted on anyway, but now you're going to have to count on multiple freshmen to come in and make an impact. Because Corbin, I don't think Corbin is going to, I don't think Norvell wants to, and I don't know that Corbin is the kind of guy that you ride for 250 or 300 carries.
You got a favorite? So you've been on the toe feely. That was kind of your good sort of pick, just because of what the coaches said in the preseason. I've obviously had to divest all my money in Laborn Inc.
Mm-hmm.
Probably put it on LaDamian Webb, a guy from Alabama. Also, most recently, I think Jones County Community College. Yeah, so I mean, they're going to moneyball this thing then, you're thinking? right? I mean, you can't replace Akers. You can't replace Jason Giambi. So you have to find like the two guys you can platoon together to fix it, right? To fill
they're not there. There isn't an Akers on the roster, and that's no offense to these guys. I mean, hey, prove me wrong, kids, but there's probably not an Akers on this roster. He's one of the better running backs in Florida State history. It was one of the best running backs in the country last year. I'm not expecting that kind of production from one guy again, but yeah, I think you can find the yards if you utilize these guys the right way. The problem is there's so much inexperience. Like they were going to be inexperienced anyway. Even if Khalan, I mean, how many carries does Khalan have in his career? 40? So they were going to be really inexperienced at that position anyway. And it's not just, I mean, we know they can run the football. There's other stuff, a lot of important stuff about playing the position of running back that is more than just finding a hole and hitting a crease. And none of these freshmen have ever done it. Jashaun Corbin's done it for, I don't know, he started 2 games and got hurt in the second one. So he doesn't have a lot of experience either. So that's just where I think another guy that had a little bit of experience at the college level could have really helped. I don't know how big a loss it is. If we just go by what we've seen the last 3 years, it's not a huge one. But I'm not trying to offend Khalan. It's just we hadn't seen much from him. But you're going to have to hope that Ja'Kai Douglas or Toa Feely, who's this we got watching here?
It's LaDamian Webb.
Is that JUCO?
Yeah, man.
Yeah, a little Wildcat, huh? Little wild. We'll call it low Wildcat.
Oh, look at that, man!
Look at that little shifty guy too. Yeah. Ja'Kai Douglas, Corey Wren. I think those are guys that can get carries. But again, they're not the biggest guys, and I think they're both 5'8" or 5'9". They're not workhorse type running backs. So I feel like Corbin is the obvious favorite to be the starter now. But I think, as I said, I thought it was going to happen anyway. But with Laborn out, obviously, Toa Feely or LaDamian Webb, somebody like that is going to have to step up and be a real weapon, be a real threat, because they might be the second string running back. Second string running back is now wide open.
I mean, yeah, I still think Deontay Sheffield's a viable option. I mean, you mentioned a little bit earlier that we shouldn't probably overlook him too much. Ultimately, at the end of the day, man, Tamorrion Terry's your best offensive weapon. You're just going to keep throwing the ball to him. You'll have an average run game is really all you can probably ask for with what you have on the offensive line and what you have at the running back position. Do like Corbin. It was 3 practices. We're not allowed, I guess, to talk about the depth chart, but, when they ran first team out there, Laborn wasn't taking first team reps in those 3 days we were out there. So, but I mean, again, I don't know if difference maker is kind of like a term, but I mean, listen, I put him 4 on my list. I thought he was going to have a really good, strong season. I think he's an above average running back, Laborn, so it is a loss. But to your point, I think you can piece it together. If LaDamian Webb can come in and run pretty hard and show what made him, I think, Mr. Alabama football one season when he was playing at Beauregard High School, and if Toa Feely can show why that was the first call of Kenny Dillingham when he took the job, and if Deontay Sheffield can kind of run with the same force he did against Arizona State in the bowl game, all that sort of adds up to fill in the gap that you lose from a guy.
Well, and it's also to make it more individualistic. Like you feel, I don't know what happened. We already got a call.
Yeah. Sorry.
Hey, well, let me make my point. So tell him to call back. Hey,
caller, you hang in there. You hang tight real quick. Corey's going to make a very valuable or salient point that we're all going to get schooled and educated on.
It wasn't. It's not that. It's just that you feel. I don't know what happened. I don't know why he's out of the program now. But I hope he finds a landing spot. This is a kid that had been behind Cam Akers for 3 years. Was a 5-star running back. He has talent. We've seen it. And I hope whatever happened, if it's a clash of personalities or if he did something wrong off the field, whatever it is, I hope he finds a home and can become a college football, a viable college football running back, and hopefully make some money and make the next level if that's in the cards for him. I just so often when this happens, it's just like we just like, all right, well, he's gone. Who's next? What does this mean for Florida State? Well, also, what does it mean for Khalan Laborn? Like, where does he go from here? Is he going to land on his feet? Or is he going to go back home to Virginia and his football career is over? I know that's not our first priority. This isn't, wake up Khalan. But I do hope that I do hope he finds a landing spot and can right the ship and actually, because he was here for 3 years. He was still on the team. He put in the work. He hadn't transferred. and then now he doesn't get a chance to play.
Yeah.
I'm done.
You redshirted behind 2 other 5-stars, with Cam
Yeah.
and Marquez being here, and then 18, week number 2, returning a kick against Samford. I mean, what the heck was he doing out there for that? So yeah, we'll see how it all goes. All right, we got somebody waiting on the line for this long. God bless him. Who we got?
Good evening, Aslan and Corey. It's Gator Kirk.
There he is.
What's up, man? What's up, buddy?
757's a little heartbroken today.
Yeah.
Me too, brother. Me too.
And now I'm gonna have to root for Tommy Martin to get in the game.
Gotta represent.
Yeah. So, well, you kind of answered my question, but I got something else. I've heard on different broadcasts and things you referenced like there wasn't a playbook at some point under Bryles or Taggart, and I don't know if that's just BS or was there just like a limited playbook?
No, man. There's legitimately no playbook last season. Apparently.
That's Kendall Bryles. That's his philosophy. That's his offense. Is you learn by doing it, and every play, every formation has 5 or 6 variations off it, depending on what the defense is doing and depending on what they call at the line of scrimmage. So yeah, they didn't officially have a playbook where they're like, okay, this is Red Rooster 26, and you know exactly what to do. Everything was based on the formation of the defense.
Well, they had play calls and there's names of the plays, but there just wasn't.
Yeah, but they couldn't say, "Hey, go back to your dorm room on Thursday night and learn Red Rooster 22." You know what I mean? Like it's everything varied.
The blocking scheme in Rooster is Rooster the actual routes they're running on Red Rooster.
Red Rooster is the blocking scheme.
Okay, Red
yeah.
Protection. Rooster is the
Yeah.
Yeah. Let me ask you, G, since you're on the phone line, and Corey's here too, and we're talking about Kendall Bryles, I guess. I mean, I don't know how optimistic Arkansas fans are, or how much we should really care. But ultimately, this offense was a little bit better than they were, and they were better than they were in 18, and what we had sort of like a dream team almost. I mean, Bryles was the best offensive coordinator, play caller you were going to be able to find. He was going to bring his own offensive line coach in as well. Do we just chalk it up, Corey, I guess, to dysfunction between him and Willie and not being on the same page, that things are going to be that much better than they were? They'll be able to grow, I guess, the way they did from 18 to 19, they'll be able to kind of replicate that from 19 to 20, or are we kind of underselling that as bad as this team was, Kendall Bryles still kept them fairly respectable?
Yeah, I think the offense wasn't the offense wasn't good last year, but it was certainly much better than the 18 version. It improved 40 or 50 spots in the nation. And there were some games you couldn't block Miami. There's some teams that they had no chance. Miami, Clemson, Florida, they had 0 chance of winning those games. 0 because of the offensive line. Everything else, I thought the offense was okay.
They called some deep shots against Florida and had them, but
Yeah, and I shouldn't even just say the offensive line. They had no chance against Florida and Clemson because of the defense. I'd chalk up 2019 being all semi-disaster because of the defense. I thought Bryles was fine. He wasn't incredible, but I thought the improvements they made were noticeable.
Right. All right, G. Anything else on your mind?
No, just hoping for a season, and as always, go Noles.
Thank you, man.
Have a great night.
Appreciate it.
Thanks, buddy. I don't know. Gator seemed. I don't know if he was down or maybe a little tired because it's not the normal 5 or 6 o'clock. He seemed a little subdued.
Yeah, he's a Virginia guy, man. He really.
Yeah, that's hard. That hits hard with you losing your Virginia
he's the best of his kids.
connection.
We got another phone call. Let's go ahead and take it here on Wake Up Warchant, presented by Zaxby's. Wake up. Although it's 8:20 p.m., so you're probably up and wide awake. Who's this?
It's Tony from Tampa, Aslan. How are
Coach T, what's going on?
How are you guys doing? Well,
yeah, good. This is what we need. We need to pick me up. Coach T's in the house. Corey, let's go.
Let's go. Let's do it.
Here we go. Hey, Corey, I was just listening a little bit online, just some your guys' comments on Khalan, and I'm going to come at it from a little bit of a different angle in terms of his value to the team. As I was looking at him for this year, it was 50-50. I mean, I kind of put him in the same class as Kando and some of these other guys that come in that are highly rated, and just for one reason or the other, I don't want to say that you can't depend on them, but it just seems like they're either snake bitten, they've either had injury problems, or they've got I don't want to say personality issues, but they don't necessarily mix well with the coaching staff, and I don't want to put them in the same group as Rouse or Francois or Henry or Litton, but he did kind of fall in with that group, and so my expectations this year for him were just more along the lines of, hey, he's got the talent, obviously. He doesn't seem like a bad kid. We all made stupid mistakes when we were young and did dumb things. But if he shows up and you get something out of him, great. If he doesn't, then so be it. Yes, it's a loss from a depth standpoint. But it is what it is. I mean, who's to say that he wouldn't get hurt after the first game? He just seems to be one of those type of guys, and maybe a new venue and a new opportunity will serve him well. I mean, we want to wish him luck, but I wasn't really counting on him this year.
Yeah, and I wasn't counting on him to be a huge contributor as like, oh, he's going to replace Cam and be 1,200 yards and 13 touchdowns or anything like that. I thought him and Corbin could share the load a little bit, but yeah, I wasn't convinced at all. Not like Aslan, who had him the fourth most important player on the whole team. I wasn't convinced at all that he was even going to start. In fact, I didn't think he was going to start. And if he wasn't the starter, what are you talking about? 8 carries a game, maybe 6, 12. I don't know, somewhere in there. That's not a huge contribution. It's not like you're losing, Warwick Dunn or Rock Preston in the heyday. I wasn't seeing. I didn't think of it as that. But now you have to have a freshman ready to play. 2 of them, I think. I think that's what it does to your depth chart, and that might not be a bad thing. I mean, again, I bring up Warwick Dunn. He was pretty darn good as a freshman. So was Cam Akers. So it might not be a bad thing that you have to get those freshmen ready to play. But there is no question. One of these dudes has to be ready to play, probably 2.
Yeah, no, I totally agree, and I want to switch gears on you guys, Aslan. If I won't pull a J on you and take up 12 minutes. But
it's all right, buddy. It's all right.
I wanted to just make a couple of comments on some things I just see out there on some social media. Some of the people from our fan base. I think if you spend any time on our sites, obviously on Warchant or on Twitter, you get these guys that for whatever reason, periodically come after Odell Haggins, and come after him on either recruiting and, saying that, our defensive line recruiting's in trouble and, this or that. And does the guy, has he lost it or has it passed his time? Stop it. I mean, you're clearly identifying yourself as an idiot. I mean, at the end of the day, this guy has delivered for 30 years. It doesn't matter if you go back to the 90s. It doesn't matter if you go back to the lost decade. It doesn't matter if you go back to this decade. I mean, when you look out across the landscape and you look at what he's done, I think I had just checked because this one guy really pissed me off, but the guy's had 19 guys drafted. I mean, he's had 4 first rounders. He's had like 8 second rounders. I mean, I looked. I went and looked at Alabama. I looked at Auburn. I looked at the Gators. All the coaches they've had since 1993. Some of those teams haven't put as many guys in the NFL in the interior DL, in the interior defensive line, that Odell Haggins has. I mean, so when you start to look at him, and then they say, oh, yeah, but he hasn't done anything lately. Well, let's just take a look at the last decade. Guy was recruiter of the year for the ACC in 2012. He was a top 25 recruiter from like 2010 or 11 to 2014, then again in 16. He's going to have the number 1 ranked defensive line in this year in college football. And he's probably going to have a minimum of 2 guys drafted next year. Who knows, maybe 3. But for sure, he's going to have a couple of at least second or third rounders. And who knows if Big Marv goes into the first round. So it's just one of those pet peeves that constantly pisses me off. And if you look at some of the guys like Larry Johnson, that's considered the best out there, the Ohio State defensive line guy, or Gardner at Auburn, so only Larry Johnson can touch him. And that dude walked into the Bosa brothers and Chase Young because he came from Penn State. And a lot of those guys were defensive ends. And I'm just talking about pure interior defensive linemen. So I wanted to get your take on Odell. I just think, what he's done for the program, the guys he's put into the league, and the respect that they have for him in terms of what he's not only taught them on the field, but off the field, he's as relevant now as he's ever been, especially when you look at what's going on in society.
Well, that was a lot. You said you were going to be a J, but you went for it, man. That was a mouthful. I don't know that I could say it much better than that. No, I agree with you mostly. I do think that we can't just, Florida State, all Florida State fans remember a coach that was past their prime. They got to hold on way too long because it would be, an outrage for him to go. Now, obviously, I'm not comparing Odell in 2020 to Bobby Bowden in 2008 or 2009. I'm not. But some people might make those connections. Like, look, just because you were great 9 or 10 years ago doesn't mean you still get to hold down the fort and just be mediocre. But look, man, when you give Odell if you give Odell a good program to go recruit and go sell a good program, he brings in great players and he turns them into better players and they go get drafted and make a lot of money. This isn't, Derek, you go back to Derek Nottie and Jernigan, and it hasn't been just even, like you said, Marvin. It's a guy that's on the roster now, Corey Durden. I don't think anybody could argue with Odell knows what he's doing. He knows how to coach the position. So what's the difference between 2019 and 2020 defensive line recruiting in 2012, 2013? I bet you it's the state of the program. I don't know do you think if you got Larry Johnson, who I guess, like you said, he's at Ohio State now, right?
Yeah, he is.
If you brought him into Florida State, do you think all of a sudden all the 5-star defensive linemen would be like, oh, God, I got to go to Florida State? That's the only way I can get to the league. No, that's not how that works. I don't think they don't make a decision. You go play. You want to go play for a good coach. You want to go play for a coach that gets you to the league. You also want to go play for a team that's winning a lot of games. The best ones do. And right now, Florida State isn't that. So once they get back to 9 or 10 wins, Odell is going to be an easy sell just like he's always been. And he's going to turn those dudes into good players and better people. That's what his job is, and that's what he's done for 2.5 decades here. So I'm with you, man. I feel like I'm ranting with you, like we're on the soapbox together. But, yeah, I can understand people being upset with the lack of big-time defensive line recruits coming in right now. But it's not like Odell's a different person. It's just that he doesn't have as good a product to sell.
Well, and to back up your point, in 16, he's got what would now be the number 1 class, right? Because all those guys now are going to be drafted next year, and he got Big Marv, back in 16, right? Was it 16 or 17?
Yeah.
But then you come on, and you've got, then you roll into the Taggart era. And of course, we couldn't, that didn't start out well and didn't end well. But to your point, but even with that, Corey, the guys had 8 guys drafted in the decade. The leading team, Bama's, had 8.
Yeah.
And so you start looking at that, and then you say after in 2020, he'll have 8. So then you're looking at guys, and I'm talking pure interior. I'm not talking about, don't throw in the defensive ends because he's not a defensive end coach. He's a defensive tackle. So, and so when you start peeling away guys who were DE ends as well as D tackle coach, there's been nobody better consistently, including this decade, the last 10 years. So, and yeah, of course, when your leadership sucks and you have bad leadership, and it kind of plays also into the whole revenue fallacy of you've got to build a football only facility to be successful. That's BS. It's not about building a football facility to be successful. It's about having a coach that's innovative, that can either have consistency in their coaching staff, a la like a Clemson or a Florida State back in the day, or being innovative enough that you're able to attract new coaches because they want to learn from you and it's a stepping stone for them. And it's the ability to develop relationships with players. That's what ultimately lands the Jimmies and Joes that are the difference in winning and losing programs or elite and winning national titles. It's not that your slide's bigger than the slide at Ohio State or that you have these other facilities. It's about that, and it's about having your recruiting staff up to par. And to me,
Okay, all right, okay. Let's wind this one down here, Coach T. We got you 10 minutes and a half right now. Go
all right,
out,
brother.
touch all bases.
I appreciate your guys' time.
Thanks, buddy.
Thank you.
Hey, is the show over?
No.
Oh, we still got a few more minutes.
Cut off, Coach T. But we get it, man.
Hey, but I get it. That's a passionate subject, man. When people start coming after Odell, but again, oh, look at that! Wow, that's big time. That's big time victory cheese balls, $20. But Odell doesn't get a free pass forever. Nobody does.
Just keep playing it. Just keep playing it. Keep playing it. Keep playing it. Yeah, victory cheese balls. That's awesome. It's amazing. I mean, that's great. Thank you.
That is very nice, victory cheese balls.
Let's take a phone call. You got 3.5 minutes. Make it good.
Oh, hey, it's Mark.
Quickly, Mark. Quickly.
I promise I'll be shorter than the last caller.
I'm kidding, Mark. Take your time within reason. We're having a conversation amongst friends.
Right. It's conversation.
We got an hour. We got time limits. What's on your mind, Mark? You said.
Well, 2 quick comments and a question. First,
sure.
I want to apologize for missing Renegade Express last week. You guys never take a day off. I shouldn't have. I was on vacation, but that's no excuse.
No excuse.
Second, Corey, I'm glad your air conditioning is working. You look comfortable.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. So after all that, it turns out for people that don't, did I say this on the show? I don't remember that my back door was wide open and my AC wasn't working. Apparently it can be all traced back to not the back door, but my AC not working. I had a bad air filter. So that was good news. It wasn't like a faulty system. It was a quick, easy, mostly cheap fix. So yeah, I'm comfortable, man. I look comfortable, right? I look breezy and
of course
free.
Yeah, no, better than ever.
Thanks, man.
I was so fired up after the Chubba Purdy interview today you guys did with the coach. You can't help feeling great coming out of that. I mean, so many good things to say. So good job on that. I was intrigued about how many times he said he wanted Chubba to red shirt. Well, I get it. They're trying to protect him and they want to look at it. With the state of college football and the lack of exceptional play on our quarterback depth chart, if you will, if he can come in, I mean, he said he had 10 touchdowns in one game. I almost drove off the road when I heard that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if this guy has all the skills and he can, be on par or better than Blackman, man, I'd say throw him in there. So I was curious about what you guys thought of that.
Well, Aslan, I don't think was a big fan of hearing that. I thought it was just a coach looking for. Look, I don't think he's thinking that Chubba can't do it, but because he also said the same thing about the older brother. Like we wanted him to redshirt too, and we were really worried when he didn't, and they threw him in there, and then it turned out to be the best thing for him, and he ends up throwing for 4,000 yards as a sophomore. So he admits obviously that was more just his personal preference. I don't think it's like when Brock Purdy left Perry High School. That coach was like, you know what? He can start from day one. But when Chubba left, he's like, man, I hope they redshirt him. I think that's his just preference with any quarterback, maybe any player at all that leaves his program, that he thinks it's more beneficial for them to redshirt. I don't think that was a slight on Chubba's ability at all. Obviously, he thinks the guy's awesome, but also I don't think it's a slight on his his diligence, his work ethic, the fact that he could do it. I think he thinks he could do all those things. He just is a an older coach that's been doing it for a long time that I'm sure has seen some guys go to college and maybe get thrown into the fire a little bit too quickly and never be the same. So that's probably what he's worried about. But yeah, if Chubba's the right guy, that's who's going to play. I mean, I don't have any question that Norvell and Dillingham will throw him in if they need to. Heck, like we talked about, Dillingham threw in a true freshman last year in the opener against Oregon. That's who he coached at Auburn, a true freshman quarterback. So I don't think they have any problems at all with throwing Chubba into the fire if they have to.
Yeah, and I was also pumped up to hear about the accuracy, and he said it's probably the best deep ball he's ever seen. And we haven't had a guy to throw a great deep ball since, I guess, Jameis and maybe Ricks or Wenke. So that's really encouraging.
Yeah, I looked that coach up that he was talking about. The guy's no joke. That quarterback's coach that's at Perry, he had retired and he lived in the area, so he just came to help out, like I guess 4 or 5 years ago when he got to coach the Purdy brothers. But yeah, he did. He coached Troy Aikman. He coached Tui Asasopo at Washington. He coached Neil O'Donnell. So he's coached two quarterbacks that played against each other in a Super Bowl. And he coached at 4 different Pac-12 high schools. He coached at Arizona, Washington, Stanford, and UCLA. Aslan's got it up right here. He had a long history of college football coaching. And for him to say that, yeah, I That's really impressive.
Yeah. No, it's exciting for the future. That was just a great interview and just a good job pulling up, being able to get a high school coach up there that has really relevant knowledge on this guy. And that was an awesome interview. Really encouraging. I look forward to playing some games this year, and thank you guys for all you do.
Thank you, Mark.
Thank you, Mark. Appreciate it, buddy.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, Coach Axman, man. No joke. No.
The real deal, huh? Hey, does it say how old he is? Were you on that Wikipedia page?
Yes.
I'm going to say 71.
Oh, 73.
Oh, okay. All right.
73. Back to the phone lines we go. Welcome on in to Wake Up Warchant, presented by Zaxby's Indescribably Good. P.S. The Sensations is back, everybody. Get you some. Who's this?
Hey, this is Mike from Ocala. And by the way, I got some sensation salad today.
Oh,
One for me and my wife, and it was delicious. And of course, you guys know me. I had to throw in the fried white cheddar bites.
okay.
So,
Absolutely. Can't go wrong with those.
was pretty important, actually. But anyway, I was calling. Of course, we got the bad news about Khalan Laborn today, which kind of was frustrating for all of us. But I think running back is one of those positions that is just an overall fun position to play, and I feel like we have a lot of good talent there already to back them up. And of course, Khalan Laborn would have just been a really, really awesome 1-2 punch with Jashawn Corbin. But obviously with Khalan Laborn, not really getting as much on-field experience these past couple of years, right now we're just speculating on what he could have done. I mean, I'm confident he would have done well, and I think all of us are confident that he would have done well. But hey, this is just one of those next man up scenarios with either Corey Wren, Tor Philly, or LaDamian Webb, or one of those guys. So I'm sad that he was removed or let go from the team, but I'm confident that the rest of the running backs will step up and play well.
Well said, Mike.
Yeah, I think the one issue, the one worry you have is that if Corbin goes down for any length of time, that this all again is assuming we have a football season. So we're in that hypothetical right now anyway. But if he goes down, your starting running back is either a true freshman, I guess Webb is a JUCO transfer, so a newcomer or a walk-on. That's where Laborn had a little cushion there with Khalan. I'm not saying Khalan was going to be a super duper star. I don't know. But you had a little cushion. Corbin went, and now you don't. Now, but those freshmen might be awesome. Again, they might be ready to go.
It definitely means a lot, and it certainly makes us feel more comfortable. But, and I guess we just won't know now, but I guess we just have to hope that if something, God forbid, something happened to Jashawn Corbin, since he's probably going to be the projected starter, that one of the other true freshmen are just going to be able to step up and play. Let's not forget, these guys were recruited to play running back at Florida State University.
Yeah.
That's a big deal.
I don't question their talent at all. I don't. I know some of them weren't 4 stars or 5 stars, but I don't question their talent. Again, I just question the game reps and the experience, because there is more to being a running back than just hitting a hole. I think all those guys can do that. Dalvin didn't play the first 6 weeks of hit. Dalvin Cook couldn't barely get on the field the first half of his freshman year. It's hard. It's a hard position. It's not as hard as like right guard probably for a true freshman, but it's a hard position, and you just hope that they get enough practice time to be comfortable in that season opener, because one of those guys is going to have to play for sure.
Indeed. Man, well, I certainly appreciate that, fellas. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mike.
Thanks, Mike. Appreciate it, buddy.
All right, yeah. We'll watch the rest of the show. It'll be great. Thank you.
Yeah, man. Shout out to Mike Myrick joining us via the mobile phone. Him and his wife at Zaxby's drive-thru right now, so he knows what time it is.
That 100 looks like it's Oklahoma State.
All right. Go Cowboys. All right, I got another phone call. Let's take this one. Oh. Who's this?
Hey, this is Max from Virginia. Actually kind of the DC area.
All right. What's up, Max?
So, not much, man. Just wanted to call and see if we could work on your shirt selection. Maybe get you a cap shirt. I don't know. Just thinking out loud.
Yeah. Give me an OV jersey. I'll wear an OV jersey.
Aslan's an old school Penguins fan too. He liked them way back in the day. Well, not way back. I mean, what, early 90s?
Yeah. It's actually the reason I have this is because it's got Paul Coffey on the back. Paul Coffey was my guy. 77 was my number. So I don't know if I can see any of that, but that's what.
Yeah, we saw it. We got it, buddy.
What's on your mind, man?
Thanks, man. Yeah, so I just wanted to call. First of all, say thanks for everything y'all are doing. You guys are like the only normal thing during this pandemic, and it's been awesome having fun
Thank you.
every morning with the 3-year-old in the 700 square foot apartment up here has been a little crazy. But also, I listened to the interview with Chubba's coach, and I hadn't even considered the possibility of him redshirting. But with the 4-game rule, where they're allowed to actually see action, do you think if he doesn't, is not kind of the outright starter in Norvell's mind, it would make sense to redshirt him and just, use him as a backup for 4 and use someone else as a backup for 4 if we have like a short schedule?
Well, that's something I hadn't even thought about, honestly. I keep forgetting about that rule. I've been so focused on hopefully playing a football season. I hadn't even thought about trying to utilize the new redshirt rule. Yeah, I don't know that's if he's not the outright starter, then I don't think you play him unless you need to. I do think when was the last time Florida State had a big enough lead in an ACC game that they could play their backups? Was Smag here? Like, I don't remember the last time that happened. So
somebody got some burn against Syracuse, right? They were up pretty big on Syracuse.
Who can remember? But just thinking that he can get reps like in mop-up duty, I wouldn't see that. Certainly not taking up 4 games. So yeah, I think there's a chance that if he doesn't win the job, you can still give him some work, even extensive work, maybe, and then still have a chance to redshirt him. I think that's something I hadn't thought about. But yeah, I'm certainly, Norvell, he's thinking of all that, and whoever doesn't win the job, if it's, certainly Chubba or Rodemaker, I think they're going to try to redshirt one, if not both. But the beauty is, one of maybe the bright spots is if you're only going to play 8 or 9 games and you played half the season, and you could still, I guess you'd still technically be a redshirt, right? I know it's usually 1/3 of the season, but I wonder if they changed it. So that's why it was 4.
Right.
But I wonder if in this instance, if it's a 9-game season, if they keep it at 4 or make it 3, I don't know, but that's certainly something they're thinking about. I would guess. And if he doesn't win the job, if Blackman struggles, though, you can't burn an entire season if you think Chubba has a chance to be the guy. So I know I'm speaking out of both sides of my mouth and not answering the question at all, but I could see Norvell going that route if he doesn't think Chubba is the right guy for the whole season. Get him some work, see what he looks like in real competition, but still save that red shirt. Aslan?
Everything you just said, Corey.
I don't feel like you're bringing it tonight. I don't quite know what's up with you. You need to start bringing it. You got 15 minutes left. It's your time to shine.
Well, that's only 15. All right, Max. We appreciate the call, man. Hang tight up there in DC. I guess go Caps. Whatever. I'm over it. I'm fine. I don't harbor any grudges. Glad you guys finally got a ring. Good for y'all.
Appreciate it, man. We'll do. Y'all keep it up, and thanks a lot.
Thank you, man.
Thank you, buddy. Thank you for calling in.
All right, we got actually got to close that real quickly. We got a whole bunch of people to thank here, man. We've just been sitting here talking and just straight up making dough because of guys like James B.
James B in the house.
Your air filter.
That's for the air filter. Nice.
Consider it covered. We're not done there, though. That got things rolling. And then Giovanni coming in. Giovanni, what's up, everybody? Giovanni just like, we'll eat this up. 10 more American dollars. Cash. I don't even remember your recruiting negativity from last week, Giovanni.
All negativity kind of bounces off Aslan anyway.
Or is it Giovanni? I don't know. I don't want to say her name wrong after you just paid for my White Claws for the weekend. And then, not to be outdone, Ronald Seashores, I think is what his friends call him, coming in with 20 American. 20 American dollars, man. I love America.
Ronald Shores is the man.
Look at that, man. All right, he has a question. By the way, when you pay money, we'll pay tribute to you all night long here, Giovanni. I'm going to say Giovanni. I'm going to go with the soft J,
okay.
As well as James B. You'll be in tribute in our thoughts all night, but you can also ask questions. We'll move it to the front of the line. Ronald Shores will attack this one. He says, y'all keep up the great work. By the way, this is still a podcast, Aslan, so read these things out. Keep up the great work, Ronald Shore says after he donated $20 through our YouTube super chat.
Our dog in the house.
If they do play the West Virginia opener, how many tickets do you think Knoll fans will be allocated? Ooh,
100? I don't know.
Oh.
I would say if they're playing that game, which I can't fathom it, but if they're playing, not that they would play the game, but that they have fans there. If they say fans can be in that stadium, I'm thinking 20% at most, which 20% of, oh boy, now I'm going to have to do math. What is that, a 60,000 seat stadium? So 20% of 60,000 is 12,000. So Florida State would get 6,000. No, they'd get probably 3,000. I would think if they're doing a 20%, I think you get Florida State and West Virginia 3 each. And then you have some, I don't even, how do you do it, Aslan? How are you going to have people in that stadium? I don't see how they do it. But if they do, I would guess 2,000 to 3,000 would be my guess. And then they'd have some general admission because they want people from Atlanta to go to the game too.
Yeah, man. I said 3,000 without doing all that mental calculus and everything, man. Shooting from the hip. Yeah, that sounds about
good job.
1,000.
All
right. Because to your point, 12,000, 3 for Florida State, 3 for West Virginia. Then you got to give some to. Although who knows, man? You usually have to give a lot of tickets to your sponsors, like Mercedes-Benz and Chick-fil-A would get huge amounts of those tickets and give them out to their friends and business partners. But obviously, with the pandemic going on, if you don't have a lot invested in that actual game being played, like if those aren't your favorite teams, you're probably gonna be like, yeah, Bob at Chick-fil-A, I don't need the do good this year. I'm fine on that. But either way, if you want to go to the game and they're going to play that game and allow you to go in and watch it, I think you'll be able to go in and watch it at a pretty reasonable price. I'll say that.
Oh, do you? I think they're going to be hard tickets to come by, I would think. I mean, I know it's not Florida State Auburn, but it's in the championship game, but it's the first game of the year. It's the first game of the Norvell era. And tickets aren't usually tickets are pretty easy to come by with Florida State games this year. But if there are only 3,000 available total, it might be a little difficult. Or I guess there'd be 9,000 total if you want to get general admission. But still, supply and demand. I think they could be a hard ticket to come by if you actually can get in the stadium and watch football. And the roof thing will be open. They didn't do that for the Alabama game.
There we go. William T.H. Boxes have Warchant sponsors cardboard cutouts for the West Virginia game.
That's not a bad idea. Yeah. I could get Brady. Stephanie could be a cardboard cutout. You with your shirt off. Would you do a shirt off like
Oh yeah.
Shirtless cutout, or would you do one with just like the sleeves rolled up?
Maybe a singlet.
Yeah. Oh, a singlet like a wrestler.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Nice. That'd be a good look.
Like luchador or whatever, one of those.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
We were also anticipating tomorrow is going to kind of be finally, get busy living day, line in the sand for the ACC, but apparently they've put that off, I think, until August.
They have a meeting, right? Don't they have a meeting with the presidents tomorrow, and then they have another one the following week?
Yeah. Yeah. So that one, we thought tomorrow, Wednesday, as you're listening to this on the podcast, probably today, we thought was going to be the time they were going to finally decide or make it official if they're going to go conference only, and whether it be 10 conference games plus 1 or 8 plus 2. But apparently, according to Brett McMurphy of Stadium, that is not going to be the case. They've ended up pushing it another week. So again, we're going to be at that point where, hey, it's August 4th, 2:15 p.m., plenty of time.
Right. Hey, just keep the Marlins away.
Yeah. So
don't let them anywhere near your football programs.
Yeah. I see folks are still trying to call in. I'm trying to. It's weird when I close out of this and then go back into it. For some reason, the phone calls don't roll in instantly, but I'm going to stay glued on this screen so that when one rolls in here, I can actually answer it because it's driven by you folks, the listener. This edition of the show. There we go.
There it is, Aslan.
Look at that. Speak it into existence. Welcome on into Wake Up Warchant, presented by Zaxby's, live here on YouTube. Who's this?
This is CJ from Dedham.
All right, CJ.
What's up, CJ?
Dedham's in Massachusetts.
Hey, what's up, Corey? What's up, Aslan?
What's up, man? What's going on, CJ? What's on your mind?
So I had a question. I was reading about how, the ACC should essentially force Notre Dame to join full time. But if it did join, then we would have an odd number of teams. So what other team besides Notre Dame do you think the ACC should go after to make it even on both sides?
Alabama. No, I don't. I don't necessarily think. I'm fine with that. You can have uneven. For my whole life, like I feel like the NL West was 4 teams, but the AL East was 6 teams. Like you can have uneven divisions. Notre Dame can float from division to division each year if you want. Getting them to be a full-time member, do whatever you need to do to get them. Because I can't think off the top of my head. Louisville to me always made sense because they had the best athletic program of all those Big East schools that you were thinking about. But who else out there that's an independent or from a smaller conference would you really want to go after? UConn, no chance. In Florida State is not going to want one of the teams from Florida. So there's not a ton of great options, like realistic, viable options from smaller conferences that I think you'd want to go after. So I think you say, Notre Dame, you come in, and heck, because we like you so much, you get to pick before each year what division you're going to be in. Just do that. Do whatever it takes to get Notre Dame in. But I can't. Do you have one in mind? Do you have a school in mind that you think could be the 16th?
I mean, I was thinking maybe one of the AAC teams, go poach, I don't know, Memphis or something, because I've seen their games and the stadium looks really loud. It has like a real good, like real college football atmosphere to it. So, maybe.
And I wouldn't mind that. I wouldn't mind that as long as you're not doing it just to do it, just to fill out. Like you don't want, in my opinion, the ACC already has too many. Just throw them in there nonsense teams that don't contribute anything, that don't add anything to the conference. Wake Forest, Boston College, on and on, Georgia Tech, really, that just don't add anything. So if you could get Memphis, and Memphis isn't that's not a bad suggestion because I do think that's a kind of rabid fan base, which this conference certainly needs. It's a pretty big market. So maybe that wouldn't be a bad idea. Notre Dame and Memphis, Aslan, you down for that?
I was saying Houston.
Well, they're not coming. They're too far away. Memphis is at least in the south. Houston's too far away, man. That's if you're west of the Mississippi, you're not coming to play in the East. Well, I don't know. Where is Memphis? Is that west of the Mississippi?
I think it's just
closer to Houston.
I think it's just east.
Yeah, I think it's pretty close. Yeah, you're right. It's on the other end of Tennessee, so it's pretty close. Yeah, still, I like Memphis better than Houston.
Yeah,
I like Tulane. I would take Tulane just for being able to go to New Orleans every other year.
Yeah, that's another school that would add zilch to the conference, but it would be cool to go to New Orleans.
Yeah, so that's what we got. Anything else on your mind, CJ?
No, sir. Appreciate you guys. You guys take care.
You too, man. Thank you.
Thanks, CJ.
Yeah, I haven't read up enough on this Notre Dame stuff, really. I just
Plus, you get that FedEx money, right? In Memphis, don't you get that FedEx money?
Fred Smith, man.
Yeah.
I still just don't. I don't understand why Notre Dame would mortgage any of their future just for this one season.
Is it just going to be one season? That's what the ACC plays. It's like, look, are y'all looking at the numbers? This stuff's going up and up. This might be here for 4 years. Are y'all not going to play football for 4 years? You really, exacerbate it and make them fearful that they're going to be out of football for 4 years because they don't have anybody to play. Hey, play Ball State all you want. We're going to be over here in a real conference. There you go. I was right. East of Mississippi. Thanks, Todd.
I said it first. But
but yes, Notre Dame would not mortgage everything for one season. Probably not.
No.
They can probably afford to take this hit of even not playing it. I don't know, man. Imagine being like Brian Kelly and Notre Dame isn't playing a football season, but the conference that you're sort of in is.
Yeah.
And how do you sell that to recruits? What are those players going to do? What are the fans going to do? I do think you have a little more leverage than maybe you realize. And screw them, get in a conference. We ain't thinking 32 years, and you're gonna be the only independent in college football.
Isn't BYU still independent? Or are they in the Mountain West? They're
think
playing Alabama. I think they're filling in. I think for Southern Cal and that opener for Alabama, if I'm not mistaken. BYU.
Yeah, but they're not independent, are they?
I thought so. Well, now let's look it up. Why don't we?
Look it up, Aslan. Look it up. I do know they have a radio station on my XM, or they used to, BYU Radio.
Yeah.
It's kind of odd.
Yeah, they're independent. They are independent.
They've always been independent?
Apparently so is Army.
Yeah, I knew Army was, but I didn't know BYU was. I thought, man, when Ty Detmer was quarterbacking at BYU, they were not in a conference. Weren't they? Were in the Mountain West. They had to have been. Or the WAC.
Maybe the WAC.
I used to know that.
Well, we always know something. Anyhow, see what else we have here going on the YouTube. Somebody said Troy State. They're not just Troy. But anyway, any update on T-Mac? Derek Neal asks. I don't even know who T-Mac is. Oh, maybe Tracy McGrady getting on the show. Still haven't reached out to T-Mac.
You need to do that, man. How crazy would that be?
I'll put that on the to-do list. Trying to work up another interview along the lines of what we do with Chubba's coach. So do stay tuned for that.
Why don't we get T-Max? We could get T-Max old high school coach.
There we go. Auburndale. Trace Phillips says you bring in West Virginia to the ACC, brings back the Pitt West Virginia game.
I'm all for that too.
Talk about a fan base that's passionate. West Virginia.
Yeah, that's a real passionate fan base. Yeah, that's actually a good idea. West Virginia is really pretty. It is. That wasn't a joke. It's supposed to be really pretty.
The Shenandoah Valley, the Blue Ridge Mountains, man. Welcome in to Wake Up Warchant, presented by Zaxby's. Who's this?
Hey, Aslan. Hey, Corey. This is Daryl up in Thomasville, North Carolina. What's going on, man?
Hey, man. How are you?
Captain D63, what's going on?
Yeah, we doing up there pretty good in Tar Heel country.
All right.
I hate saying that too. We are back down in Florida.
I hear you. We miss you. We miss you, big guy. What's on your mind?
Speaking of Khalan Laborn, I always thought he was probably back there in the third spot behind Corbin or maybe Torfelis. I think is how you pronounce it.
Yeah, correct.
Because I thought when Coach reached out to him when he first come on board, that was the first guy he reached out to in recruiting. So I thought he would probably be the first, kind of be one of his top guys, and then Corbin come over from Texas A&M. So what do y'all think about that one?
Yeah, Norvell when he first got the job.
You were stayed on board.
Yeah, when Norvell first got the job, the very first recruit he called when he knew he was going to be the Florida State head coach was Toafili. That's how much he liked that kid, and that's how much he wanted to bring him aboard. Obviously Norvell has no loyalty to any of these guys, and I don't mean that the bad way. I mean they've never ran for a yard or scored a touchdown for him, so nobody has a leg up in this competition. I just thought maybe Khalan being 3 years older, put together, a little bit more experience, not a ton, would give him an upper hand on these freshmen. But yeah, I don't see. There's no choice now. It doesn't even matter. Toafili's going to get a chance. He was going to get a chance anyway, but now he's definitely going to get a chance. I do think there's in one of these guys. Again, we don't know anything about how their skills necessarily translate to the college level. We haven't seen it yet. We don't know who's going to pick up the offense the quickest. But one of those guys or two of those guys better get ready to play because they're going to have to play. Laborn wasn't a guy that was necessarily – this wasn't like losing Dalvin before 15, obviously, where you knew he was going to be the biggest part of your offense. We had no idea what Laborn was going to be because we'd never seen it. It's just a little bit of a hit at a position that now has it still has good numbers. It's just young. It's just a young position. So those guys are going to have to grow up quick.
Right. I got a second question for y'all.
Did we lose him?
Sure. Go ahead, Daryl.
On the play, special teams and everything. I guess Alex, what is it, Mastermano? I guess he's going to be probably our starting punter. And on place kicking, I know Ryan Fitzgerald was probably the best kicker coming out of Georgia last year. Is he going to be kind of like the leading candidate going into this year if there's a season?
Yeah, I think Fitzgerald is the guy. Groathouse, the Groat, is still around, and he's got a huge leg. But I tell you what, one of the things that I really made a mental note of in the limited practices we saw was, Fitzgerald's leg was a lot stronger than I remembered it from the year before. He's got a nice leg. It's not – Groathouse has an incredible leg. It's not quite Groathouse, but it's plenty good enough to make 50-yard kicks. And, I think he's the guy. He's the favorite. And I think Mastromano is the favorite punter for the punting spot.
Right.
But Tommy Martin, Tommy Martin's still here, and he's got a chance to win the job. He had 11 or 12 50-yard punts last year, so he showed he could do it. Now he also had some really bad ones, but he's got 10 games of experience starting. So I'm not convinced that the kid from Australia is definitely going to win the job. And I do think, again, Norvell's going to play the guy that punts the best in practice. And Fitzgerald Grodehouse, that's going to be a competition too. Neither one of those guys, Fitzgerald or Mastro Mano, are guaranteed to be the starters because they do have guys coming back with experience that are talented enough to give them a run. So it's a good problem to have, man. I don't know what the deal was with Ricky Aguayo last year. I don't know if he didn't feel any pressure because he knew they weren't going to start Grodehouse, and he was just not good at all. They need a good kicker again, and maybe Fitzgerald is that guy.
Was it Fitzgerald in high school that kicked 165 yards?
Yeah, and I think he holds the record because I wrote about this a couple weeks ago. I think he holds the state record for most 50-yard kicks. Now, I think in Georgia, if I'm not mistaken, they might still kick off a tee. So you got to take that with a grain of salt. But I've seen the leg in person. He's got a leg. Again, Grodehouse's leg is like blessed from above. He's got like Thor in his right thigh or something. I don't know what's going on with that kid. But so he's good on kickoffs. And Fitzgerald, yeah, I think Fitzgerald's a good kicker, man. He's got plenty of strong leg, and he came with the bona fides. He was one of the highest recruited kickers in the country. So we'll see. This is place kicker U. So somebody's going to be good.
All right, thanks a lot, guys. Keep up the great work and go Noles.
Thank you, man. I brought it again, Aslan. I'm even answering kicking questions now.
I mean, I'm staying out of your way. That's what I'm saying. There's no need to bring it. Why go overboard? For some reason, this is loading rather very slowly. It's not from an in game, but apparently, he kicked a 60-yarder, so in a crosswind, mind you.
Okay, but it is off a tee.
This one, no, this one.
Or the ball is. Oh yeah, okay, never mind. It's not. All right.
It's being held up, but it's not like on a tee.
Yeah. All right. Hey, he's got a leg. I don't know why, but I just thought I watched him when he got to campus when he was a true freshman. It was like, oh man, this guy, he doesn't have a leg at all. I don't know what. Maybe it was just a bad day. Maybe he was kicking left-footed. I don't know. But when I saw him in the spring, he had a nice leg.
Giovanni's asked us 3 times, and he threw us $10, so we'll answer it. I don't know what you mean by spring game type scrimmage. If you think like they're going to let people come watch a game, I don't think so. That's just me, though.
No, I don't think they'll do that. If that's what you mean, they obviously will have scrimmages, but no, I don't think they'll have one that's open to the public. That would be incredible. That would be like it's like the 1980s all over again if Norvell starts doing that, where people could come and watch. I got to do that one time when Shanna, my ex-wife, was going to school here. We went, it must have been 98 or 99. We went to a scrimmage. We knew there was scrimmage in at night. We saw the lights on Doak Campbell, and we just were like, hey, let's go by and see if we can get in. There's nobody stopped us. And there were like 20 other fans there, and we just sat there and watched them scrimmage. That's kind of cool.
I wish I would have been there. Sounds great, man.
Yeah, it was fun back in the day.
Let's do everything. Let's even take a recruiting question. Nick Rumfelt, quite dapper there. Nick, like the glasses. Why are we out of Corey Collier's top 3? It's a good question. It's very good question. Probably because this defense has not looked very good last 4 years, 5 years. That would be my theory.
Let's wait till ask that question again when they hold the Mountaineers to 6 points and 180 yards.
There we go.
Then Corey Collier they're back in the top 3 again.
There we go. He is a 5-star. That means something to some people.
Where's he from?
Palmetto. Corey Collier Jr. LSU, Miami, Florida is top 3. So that is a bit
all right. Okay.
All the future cast stuff says Florida. So Shador Sanders will be at FAU. Corey Collier possibly at Florida. Marvin Jones Jr. Maybe in Miami.
No, come on, man. He's going to be a Knoll. Come on, Marvin. Make that happen.
Yeah, I mean, those staffs have been around those spots a little bit longer, so they probably have better relationships already established with Corey. And again, it's a little bit early. I mean, the top 3 isn't written in stone. I mean, who's to say that Florida State couldn't sneak in there last minute? But I'm sure Michael Langston knows. Over on the PRB, head over there, warchant.com. Use the promo code WARCHANT30 for 30 days of access for the insight on the recruiting.
It says there, the people that can see it, that Corey Collier has 41 offers, which is that's a third of the schools in the country. But like, that has to mean that there are like some, like, do you think Troy offered him? Or like FAU? Do you think FAU offered him?
Yeah, probably.
Do they count those?
Yeah.
Because it's like, what's the point? Like, there's no, like Syracuse offered him. Great. Boston College offered him. I hope the BC didn't actually spend money to send a guy down there to formally offer Corey Collier. Indiana, Nebraska, come on, man.
Well, black shirts. I mean, black shirts got a little
Purdue,
bit.
what are the odds that a 5-star safety out of Miami, Florida is going to Purdue? I mean, that's just a waste of paper.
You got to shoot your shot, man. You know,
Toledo, Bowling Green. Like, maybe they all offered him 2.5 years ago when he was coming out of middle school, and they thought, okay, this is our shot. We get on him early. But what in the world are Ball State and Purdue offering that kid for? I hope they're not putting in a lot of real time into trying to recruit that kid.
Swolnil says, nah, Aslan, the defense hasn't looked good the last 2 years. 17 looked way better than these last 2 years. Come on, man.
I think he's making your point, right?
No, he was saying that I was saying that they haven't looked good in like the last 4 years.
Oh, yeah. The 17 defense was pretty good.
Yeah.
I mean, it's certainly by comparison to the last 2 years, it was like a 96 defense.
I don't know, but like I was rated like, being one of the pace cars to lead Charles Kelly out of town. So, I mean, I wasn't feeling all that great about what was going on in 16 and 17, but point noted, Swolnil.
Yeah.
But again,
there were a lot of people wanted to get rid of Mark Richt as the OC too. They weren't sad when he took the Georgia job, and then he got replaced with who he got replaced with, and people were like, "Man, I miss those Mark Richt days."
This is why you do not take recruiting questions. Oh, I need to take this guy, put this guy in timeout. Kane fan, go to timeout. That's why you don't take recruiting questions, because there's never just one. It's plural. Oh, we're over an hour anyway, so we can wrap it up. Do you think we'll finish with a top 15 recruiting class, or Ari? I don't know what actually does that.
I'm sure that's what he means. It just maybe it's spelled it out wrong. Maybe it was a typo on his phone.
So like a top 15 recruiting class? I don't think so.
No, probably not.
Probably not. Will they finish top 15 in the nation though? Who knows? Maybe they can sneaky sneakers and do that sort of stuff. Redbeard 40. I know we're waiting on the ACC to make a decision, assuming they at least give this season a shot. What are we potentially looking for a first game? And who? NC State in October? ? I don't think it'd be that long. I think they'll play in September if they play, right? Late September, but
I think it'd be. Yeah, I think you're looking maybe at a 2-week delay, maybe middle of September. I guess it could stretch into the 3rd week of September and start then. But yeah, I would think if it's an ACC only, you're starting with NC State. Now that's got to be it, Aslan, because my computer's about to die. Unless you want to follow me into the kitchen.
That's fine. Kevin Butts, crazy talk. Would we be better off without a season this year? Absolutely not, Kevin. You're crazy. Knock it off.
I get it, but you got Marvin Wilson and Tamarian Terry for one last year. Asante Samuel maybe two. You want to use that to not only win games, and then winning games begets recruiting, and you get better players if you play with good. If you showcase your good players now, you can get good players later.
Corey, if you could coach a sport, what would it be?
Baseball followed by the javelin. All right, I got to go, guys. Peace out. Love you.